Hello and welcome to my channel. My name is Brett Tadlock. I'm an artist living just outside of Nashville, Tennessee. You can find me just about everywhere online as TN Artist, or the TN Artist for Tennessee artists, in case you didn't get that. But anyway, today's workshop is part one of a workshop on painting an Irish sheep herder. We're going to cover a lot of information in this workshop, so really, let's get started. Alright, so let's get started with today's painting. And for this one, what I'm working with here, as you can see the sketch that I've got done up here, this is actually based off a photo that Jackie Dishner shared with me. And the the original photo was this man walking down the road, along with the hillside and ocean, that kind of stuff. But I wanted to add more to it. Hers is a more modern setting. I think it was done in 2013. And so I decided I wanted to add some sheep into it, a little herding dog. And I think we're going to go with more of a country roads, kind of more of an old world setting with this. And to do that. So we're going to get started with this. And I'll share this sketch. That way, in case anyone wants to try it as well, they can do so. But we're going to start with laying in the sky and work on doing that. This is going to be some muted colors back here in the back, and then kind of a misty muted day, kind of as they're going through maybe like a morning or something like that. So the first thing I want to do is start with a full color, complementary color here. So because this is going to be kind of blue grays, I want to go with a muted orange. But before I do that, I need to move this layer to the top. Otherwise, it's going to disappear. Alright, so let's pick our brush to go with, and I think we'll just use the roller brush and just shift, move it, cursor to the click and move to the right, and you can pick up the roller and make the different size. So I'm just laying this in here mainly because I want to just kind of have some of the different textures. I could have just used the fill tool and filled it in, but I have just a little bit of these textures and stuff just kind of showing through, and I may even lay in just a little bit more as well. And you can even, if you wanted to go with something like some of these watercolor ones that I have, you could lay in some textures that way. You could go with the darken. We're going to get a little bit of lag like normal because of my recording software does that to this. So, and get that. So something like that, and then you can just go back over it with a palette knife and something like the hard wet blender. And this is this is not necessarily a required step. Most of this we're going to paint over, but if you have some of it kind of bleeding through, it can give some interesting texture and start laying that groundwork for the finished painting. So, and the main reason I'm doing this, to be completely transparent with it, is because it helps to see what colors I have for my canvas later on. So when I'm doing the sky, which is what we're going to start with now. So again, we're going to go with a kind of a bluish gray and lay that in. I am going to go back to my custom brush, and I am going to grab my impressionistic cloud brush and use that and get that started. So we'll do that. Okay, so let's start laying in the sky. I know, like I said, we want it to be kind of a muted color, and we've got the horizon line is actually right here. So it's going to be really high because we're looking down a hill. So whenever you want to be looking down, your horizon line is going to change as far as like how you want it to be positioned for, because this isn't a real steep hill, but it is a bit of a hill. So it's going to be straight across over here, not in the middle. And then if it was way down here, it would really look like we're looking down. So anyway, that's the horizon line we're going to go with. So we can start laying some of that in. And then what I'm going to do is grab some of these areas where it's kind of overlapped that orangish color and add in just a little bit of variation to it, like so. Alright, got that there. And let's go ahead and bring that color all the way down here. Like so. Okay. And then we can take just a little bit lighter color and kind of lay in up here. So we really get some of that different look. Other color to lay in over top here. Now if you're getting too much blend and too much where it's kind of burning out with some of that green here, you can make a new layer and kind of soften it in. Okay. Now, if you can see over here, I've got my layers kind of laid out for what I'm thinking of how I'm doing this. So the sky, the ocean, because it's going to be an ocean down here. Distant hills can be both these right here and then these right here. But really more these. And then mid-ground shore is going to be more this. And then foreground is going to be right through here and everything else. So I'm going to change this to blend mode, multiply, like so. So that way I can't paint on any of that, see? So if something happened and I clicked the wrong layer by mistake, I don't have to worry about painting on it. Alright, so let's grab our selection tool. And we're going to select these hills. I'm holding shift down while I do this, so it allows me to add to my selection. Okay, let's go to the distant hills. And we can keep with the impressionistic cloud brush for now. And we're going to drop to kind of this darker gray. Grab a little bit of this gray. One of the things I love about this brush is that it will allow me to layer these colors. So what I did was I layered the colors, found the one I liked, and then I just deleted what was in there. Like so. I can go just a little bit darker and add in just the hint, barest hint of stuff in the background, like so. So these are going to fade out a decent amount, and then once I've got it kind of what I want, I'm softening it by just barely touching the screen with my pen and lightly going over it. And then when I want a little bit more color, I just add a little bit more pressure. But by lightly going over it, I can really get that blend that I'm looking for that that hill. All right, so now we've got that. Now remember, all we're doing right now is just getting in some color and some underpainting. So again, if you've painted with me before, you know that this is just part of the process, is building up where we're wanting stuff to be, so that way we can get a quick idea of how it's playing out and what it looks like. So it takes a little time to get these in, and we're just trying to get, again, just the base laid out for it. So I've gone with a little bit warmer color here, a little bit warmer gray, and again, sticking with the cloud brush, we're just going to lay some of that in and get a feel for where it's at. Again, not trying to go for the finished product yet, just trying to get an idea of where we want stuff. Now the ocean, go back to a little bit of this blue and a little bit lighter, and deselect, and then select. So I do want kind of this foggy ocean look, so I really want this light kind of blue-gray. And give it a second here. There we go. Alright, so we kind of have some of that. A little bit here to kind of vignette it in. Like so. Kind of that bluish green, gray kind of tone that we want. Okay, so we've got that. Now then, let's go to the foreground. And for the foreground right now, we're just going to worry about all the stuff here. So we're going to ignore completely the sheep, the dog, and the man. Okay, we're going to paint the background. And a lot of this we're going to paint like these guys weren't here. Okay, so we can just do the landscape itself and focus on that. So we're going to just kind of lay in a mid-tone green, kind of a little bit darker, and kind of get all this scrubbed in to here, like so. Go a little bit darker here and there, because we know where some of the bushes and stuff will be. Like so. And again, this will all add just to the underpainting of it. So we've got some of that. A little bit of this, a little bit of that. A little bit of stuff. Now a little bit of a bluish gray. I'm going to bring my brush, shift, click, drag to the left, lowers my brush. And I'll bring this across here. And across here as well, but I'm going to grab a little bit of this color. Like so. We're going to put some distant fields and stuff down here, so it's a little bit of an atmosphere change. Clicking E, I've got soft eraser, Control, Shift, straight across, Control, Shift, straight across. And I'm doing that to really level out my horizon line for the water here. And we'll come back up and mess around with these as well. So we've kind of got some of that there. Now then I want to do brownish color. So we'll select brown is really just kind of a dark orange is all it really is. And then lay in some road stuff here. Select a little bit of the orangish color, and all I'm going to do here is just keep hitting Alt and clicking, and that picks up some of my color underneath, and then I'm just going to use that to build up the road underpainting. Okay, I want to go kind of back and forth in this horizontal line, I mean. And if you've seen my other lesson on dirt, we're going to repeat some of that here, so that was why I released that one. If you've seen some of my other lesson that I just did a little while back on heather flowers and stuff like that, that's why I did that one, because I was practicing to try and get ready for this one. And even though I did that one primarily in Procreate, it can be done here just as easily, really, with any of these. Okay. So now we have really kind of the underpainting started. So let's turn off just a lot of transparency so I can turn this off. There we go. So now even with that, you can kind of get a real basic rudimentary idea of where we're going. Again, these are just laying in the roadmap, laying in the basics of what we're doing. But even with this, you can read a little bit of atmospheric perspective, where the mountains off in the background are really soft. Ocean kind of stays there and goes around. I mean, obviously this needs a little bit more to make it read right, but then you've got the darker here and the darker here. Okay, so we really are starting to kind of pull that in. Some of these, this for example, we're going to lighten this up to kind of push it back in the distance with some atmospheric perspective. But if nothing else, it gives that nice idea of where everything is going. Okay, so we've got the first sections and the first bits laid in, and now we can kind of start going back through the next parts to continue to build this up, and that's what we're going to do. So I will save this and we'll get started with the next part.